Hey guys, my name is Brody Calnan, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to lead change. When you hear the word change, let's be honest, it sounds kind of scary at first. Change is new, and it's often filled with tons of uncertainties. You may find yourself in a situation where change is very clearly needed, but the steps to actually put that change in effect are significantly less clear. My goal today is to help you understand the framework for change. Each component is intended to help you not only lead change, but to do so successfully. Our world is constantly changing, and the ability to lead change is a skill that will undoubtedly benefit you in the future. With that being said, let's jump right in. So, before we can start building that framework for change, we need to establish which characteristics are needed for you to lead a successful change effort. Much like company culture and values, for instance, change starts at the top before it can work its way down in an organization. As a leader, it's your job to become a role model for change. Ultimately, your actions will determine the enthusiasm and commitment of your employees, which can make or break your change effort. Here I have a few examples demonstrating how you can assume that role model position with your followers. Leaders who can accomplish successful change projects demonstrate courage. They believe in their employees' capacity to assume responsibility. They recognize and learn from their mistakes. This one is very important. As I mentioned previously, change comes with uncertainty. With that uncertainty, you're bound to make a few mistakes along the way. Mistakes happen. Don't let them discourage you and derail your change effort. Learn from them and use that experience to improve in the future. Moving on, leaders who can accomplish successful change projects are capable of managing complexity, uncertainty, and ambiguity. They have a vision and can clearly describe their vision. And finally, they can articulate values that promote adaptability. As a role model, you are in a perfect position to build credibility for your change effort amongst your employees. So keep these characteristics in mind because the change starts with you. I've mentioned the word framework a few times now, and this is what I was referring to. This is the 8-stage model of planned organizational change developed by Dr. John Kotter. The stages include light a fire for change, get the right people on board, paint a compelling picture, communicate the change widely, remove obstacles and empower people to act, achieve and celebrate quick wins, keep it moving, and make changes stick. Change happens in stages, and some of these stages can take a significant amount of time, but I can promise you that each of these stages are worth that time. I will be going over each of these 8 stages individually and explain why they are such a critical part in leading change. Here we have our first stage, light a fire for change. To start the change process, you need to make sure your employees actually feel a need for change. If you just tell people to change and don't give them any urgency or reason, they will be more likely to resist. People like being comfortable, and the old way of doing something is much more comfortable than trying a new method. When you present your change plan, be sure to show why the change is needed in the first place. Show people why the future will be better resulting from change, and you will start to light that fire inside of your employees. As you probably know by now, change can be incredibly complex. So complex that it's virtually impossible to accomplish alone. The second stage of organizational change is getting the right people on board. Think about being in a position where you're asked to implement a change with a group that has no desire to change. As the lone ambassador for change, you're the minority. Without the support of your followers, your new ideas will often be rejected regardless of all the effort you put into your plan. Now think about being in the same position, but you now have a team working with you to implement the change amongst the larger group. While the change effort may still be in the minority, more people are on board with the idea. The commitment and enthusiasm of your team is likely to rub off on others who were initially uncomfortable, which will help shine a more positive light on the idea of change. I love this quote from Maddie Stepanek. It says, "Unity is strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved." Change can't be done alone. Build your team and get the right people on board in order to keep your change effort afloat. Next, we have the third step, painting a compelling picture. Think about an artist painting a picture. If the subject matter of the piece is unclear, people may not understand it. While this is okay, and sometimes even encouraged in the world of art, you definitely do not want this when trying to implement an organizational change. It is very difficult for someone to support something they don't understand, and we need all the support we can get. Help your employees understand why your organization is undergoing change, and show them how the change will help reach long-term organizational goals. Also, show your employees how they fit into the big picture. By understanding the importance of their role moving forward, they will be more likely to understand and support your vision for change. The fourth stage we have is communicating the change widely. We already know how change can bring out doubt and uncertainties throughout an organization. You need to make sure you are regularly communicating with your employees and ensure them that the change is indeed a good thing. Make sure they understand each part of your plan, and if there is something they don't understand, make yourself available to explain it to them in greater detail. And don't forget to listen to the concerns of your followers. They might find potential issues before you do, and the quicker you can address and fix them, the better. Most importantly, understand that actions speak louder than words. If you are not modeling the new behaviors you expect from your employees, you will lose a lot of credibility, and it could potentially send your plans for change up in flames. The fifth step in the model of planned organizational change is removing obstacles and empowering people to act. Much like this massive boulder in the middle of the road, there will be obstacles that obstruct your road to change. Structures, systems, and procedures that interfere with the change effort will need to be revised. Issues like these may come as an inconvenience, but it's better to iron out the wrinkles sooner than later, as they can create bigger issues if left unattended. Empowering people to act is also very important. Without action, there is no change, just talk. As leaders, you must encourage action as much as possible. Becoming more lenient during the period of change is a good way to encourage people to act. If you lead change in a very strict manner, people will be more hesitant towards adapting to the new style. Make sure you are giving your employees the time, knowledge, and resources to make the change happen. That brings us to stage 6, achieve and celebrate quick wins. One thing that can be detrimental to your change effort is the loss of energy and motivation amongst your employees. The loss of motivation occurs when people dedicate a lot of time and effort to something without seeing any positive results. Change is often a very long process. You can go weeks, months, or even years before reaching that long-anticipated end goal. To keep your employees dedicated, identify some short-term goals and celebrate them. This is a great way to boost morale and keep your team hungry to achieve that next goal. Successful short-term accomplishments can also boost the credibility of your change process and help people believe in the success of your change project. Celebrating quick wins also renews your team's enthusiasm and commitment. Don't lose sight of your end goal, but realize that you aren't going to reach it overnight. Achieve some quick wins and let your team know that they're heading in the right direction. The seventh stage of our change model is keep it moving. While short-term wins are important and need to be acknowledged, you can't allow your team to become stuck on the short-term wins. This can cause people to lose sight of the end goal, and that's the last thing we want at this point in our 8-stage model. Celebrate those quick wins, but then build on them to keep the change process moving in a forward direction. At this stage, it's also a good idea to sit back and reanalyze your vision. You should confront and change any remaining issues, structures, or systems that are getting in the way of achieving your vision. And finally, we have reached stage 8. At this stage, most of the hard work is over. However, you need to make sure that all of your hard work wasn't for nothing. You need to ensure that the change is here to stay. Look for ways to institutionalize the new approach and strive to integrate the new values and patterns into everyone's work habits. Once the change becomes a regular part of people's daily routines, people will begin getting used to it. Make sure you stand by your change and continue to promote it, and in time, your change will be adapted and considered the new norm. And now that we've finally made it through Kotter's model for change, the only thing left to do is make it happen. Each of these stages are crucial for successful change to occur. The 8 stages are a great template to provide a strong foundation for change, and they can keep you on the path to success when utilized correctly. While it sounds simple in theory, understand that it is much more difficult when change is actually put into effect. But do not become discouraged. Find your vision and trust it. Then assemble your dream team to help you implement your vision for successful change.